Om Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutalina Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Iti Namini Namaste Saraswate Devi Kauravani Pracharini Nirdhisisha Shunyavadi Pashitadishitarini Sri Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gathada Shivasari Gauravakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So today is the 18th chapter, which is the perfect renunciation. So all 17 days we saw different questions that Arjuna had, and Krishna answered all of them, right? All the questions. Now Arjuna is now summarizing, and Arjuna has a final few questions, and Krishna continues to answer them. This is called perfect renunciation, Moksha Sanyasa Yoga. So why perfect renunciation? Because this is a perfect way to give away the material attachments and attain the Lord. And here Krishna is summarizing all the chapters that he already mentioned. Arjuna said, "O mighty armed, I wish to understand the purpose of renunciation, and of the renunciation, order of life, Sanyasa. O killer of Kesi demons, master of senses." He says, like, now, please, Krishna, please tell me what is the purpose of the renunciation. So the image that you see now, this is the Keshi demon. Okay, and that's Krishna. So since he killed the Keshi demon, is called Keshava. Okay. So he says, "O mighty armed one, I wish to understand the purpose of the renunciation. Why do I renounce? Please tell me that. And what is the order of life after renunciation?" Okay. So he says, "Okay, killer of Kesi demon, and the master of senses." Rishikesha is master of senses. Sri Bhagavan Vacha. So this is again Krishna himself answering the question. The giving up of activities that are based on material desire is what great learned men call renounced order of life, Sanyasa. And giving up all the results of all activities is what the wise called renunciation. There are two things that Krishna is clearly saying. What do the learned people say? Give away the material attachments, right? So that is what learned people say. But now, what Krishna says, and giving up the results of its activities is what the wise call renunciation. So Bhagavan is not asking, Krishna is not asking him to give up all material desires, material attachments. Okay, he says, stay attached but stay detached. Are you getting the point? He says, giving up all the results of activities is what the wise called renunciation. The acts of sacrifice, charity, and penance are not to be given up. They must be performed. Indeed, sacrifice, charity, and penance purify even the great souls. This is the story of Sri Krishna and who's the goat-faced person? Daksha. Okay. So it is the Lord Shiva and Daksha, because of some misunderstanding. Krishna, what happens is there was a small fight, and in that Lord Shiva gives Daksha the face of a goat because he has to do some yajna. Okay, so act of sacrifice, charity, and penance are not to be given up. These are all material desires, right? Material attachment, right? Sometimes you give sacrifice because of your material attachment. You want something with material life, you give some sacrifice. You do some charity for material life. But God says what God clearly says. Indeed, sacrifice, charities purify the great souls, but don't go for the attachment of it. Just because you gave an annadan today, don't do that. Don't expect that God is going to do good for you. You are just cleansing you are just purifying your soul now. When you're doing charity, you're just purifying your soul. Just because you had a padayatra to some place, it doesn't mean that you will have, you'll get the good things. Don't expect those results. Do it. And you will be cleansing, and you'll be cleansing your bad karma. But what happens is you add your one, as you cleanse your bad karma, slowly your good karmas are going to be added. Once your good karmas are added, you're going to go on the positive direction. O mighty armed Arjuna, according to the Vedanta, there are 5 causes of accomplishment of all actions. Now learn these from me. The place of action, the body, the performer, the various scenes, the many different kinds of endeavor, the ultimate and ultimately the super soul. These are the 5 factors of action. Right? No? See, even if you buy a dress, you can just imagine you want to buy a dress. How do you go and buy? First, you go touch and feel the place of action. You go to the shop, and then you choose the different. It is who's going to buy. You are going to buy. So you are the performer. Then you have the various senses. Once you get a dress, especially women when they buy a sari, what they do, they first check the color of it. What is it? Is this pleasing to the color? So pleasing to the eyes. They touch and feel it. Why it is pleasing to the touch, sense of touching it, right? Then hear from the salesman on the positive side of it. So then they then they satisfy the ears. Then they ask about it, right? And they think whether they can they think about it, whether they can talk about this particular dress to people. So what is it? They are also sensing they activating the sense of talk. Okay, so this way all the senses are activated. Once all the senses are activated, then these are the 5 factors of action. Then this is where what happens is you accomplish the action. So is there anything that you don't do without accomplishing your senses? Can you imagine something? You want to have a good coffee. What do? You try to satisfy the taste. Okay, you need food that you want. You want to see, what do we do early in the morning? We wake up. We want to hear something good. We are attending the Gita classes. Why? We want to satisfy the mind, and we are hearing it through our ears. Right? I am talking about Krishna. Why? Because I'll be that way. I'll be satisfying the sense of talking, right? Sense of speech. But when you what are we doing that way? When you hear good about Krishna, when you hear the Gita classes, when I talk about the Gita classes, what are we doing is we are putting the senses to the right use, right? That is important. You put your senses to the right side. You are always satisfying your senses. Always, every day, day in and day out. Can you imagine one thing which we are not doing to satisfy our senses? We'll keep on looking at the mobile. Why? Because we want to satisfy the sense of eyes, right? So that has become the major sin. Any questions? Okay. Therefore, one who thinks himself the only doer, not considering the 5 factors, is certainly not very intelligent and cannot see things that as they are. Therefore, one who thinks himself to be the doer, so like I am the doer of everything. Okay? Not considering the 5 factors. He assumes that he is the master of all the senses. Unless otherwise he is a learned person and he is renounced. No, he is not going to be that. But today everybody thinks, right, all my senses are under my control. He is certainly not very intelligent and cannot see things as they are. Right, now we saw the illusion. We are all in the illusion. What we see is not actually the reality. Right? What we see is completely different. Yesterday we just saw the image, the story behind the stubble burning, right? Someone spoke about stubble burning. It's not the way. What we see is only the part of it. It's only the tip of the iceberg. It's so big inside. Whatever cases of COVID or things that we are seeing, they're all very small, right? There are too many things under them. That could be a huge business going behind it, but nobody knows, right? This could be all things. But if you go and research into it, you get to understand things. There are positives and negatives of it, right? So therefore, one who thinks himself the doer, if you think that you are the doer, not considering the 5 factors of the 5 senses, is certainly not very intelligent and cannot see things as they are. The movies that we see, the actors, we know the actors, we see the actors doing so superficial things, right? Does it mean that they're all real? Is that all real? No, right? Only in the childhood days we were looking at cartoons. I think cartoons today are more realistic than the movies, no? They seem to be more realistic these days. Why? Because they're all trying to satisfy the senses. The hero, the actor in the movie, he jumps from 5 floors, 6 floors and down, and then he keeps running from there. He jumps. People cannot jump 4 feet down and start running. Either any of their bone is already damaged, and this person jumps from 4 floors, 5 floors. Right? These are all only to satisfy our senses. One who performs his duty without association with the modes of material nature, without false ego, with great determination and enthusiasm, and without wavering in success or failure, is said to be a worker in the mode of goodness. So that's the right way to do it. Who performs his duty without association with the modes of material nature. Don't get attached to the material nature. Again, Krishna doesn't say give up material life. You stay in your material life, but don't get attached to, don't associate yourself. Right? I want money, I want wealth, I want I want a big house, I want a beautiful wife, I want a beautiful girlfriend, I want a beautiful car, I want this car, I want a luxurious bike. These are all material attachments. He says you don't have to give up all these, but give up the attachment to it. It is not good, not bad in aiming to becoming a billionaire, but don't get attached to it. What happens when people get attached to it? You've seen a lot of corporate cases where they get into suicide and depression, right? People who are billionaires, they kill themselves for some reason. Why do they do that? Why do they do that? Is it because they don't have wealth? No, right? Because they've got so attached to things. They've got so attached to things that they cannot live without it now. And something happens, they've just gone. It's all false ego, the prestige that they have. They fight with people just because of nothing. It's actually nothing, but they fight. Okay, one who performs his duty without association with the modes of material nature. You want to become a billionaire? Become a billionaire. You want to have a big job, have a big powerful job, have the big powerful job. But don't get attached to it without association with the material modes. Don't listen to your mind. Have your mind in your control without false ego, with great determination and enthusiasm. Be determined and have enthusiasm towards that, towards your goal, and without wavering in success or failure. Success or failure is only the result. And what we said, we had this deal on the first day of the class. All the positives as well as negatives. Success and failure belongs to whom? I want you to answer. Success and failure belongs to? Yes, I have one person answering it. The success or failure belongs to the Lord Krishna, right? Because once you give the results to him, he is automatically going to take care of things, right? And that once you do that, you are said to be in the mode of goodness. The worker who is attached to work and the fruits of work. See, when you do this, when one performs this duty without association, he is in the mode of sattva guna. What happens in rajaguna? Again, he says Krishna. Why Krishna is talking about sattva rajaguna here? Because that is very, very important. The worker who is attached to work and the fruits of work, desire to enjoy those fruits, and who is greedy, always envious, impure, and moved by joy and sorrow, is said to be in the mode of passion. Happens. Rich people attempting suicide, getting away from country because they'll have to pay taxes, taking huge loans, just fleeing away because they will be arrested in that particular country, earning more and more and having money in black, not paying the taxes, still trying to loot. All this happens, right? Why? Because they are in the mode of rajaguna. Desire to enjoy those fruits, and who is greedy, always envious, impure, and moved by joy and sorrow, is said to be in the mode of passion. Do we want to be here? Absolutely not, right? Tamas, ignore. The worker who is always engaged in work against the injunctions of the scripture, who is materialistic, obstinate, cheating, and expert in insulting others, who is lazy, always morose, and procrastinating, is said to be in a worker in the mode of ignorance. What happens? This guy talks always negative. Okay, tomorrow is an exam. I said, come on here, I'm going to fail this exam. I have not studied. He starts cursing the exam, he starts cursing the system. He's not studying. He could have always spent a little more time studying, right? He's not doing it. So he is materialistic. He said, like, now I can look at some cheating methods. This teaching method is absolutely wrong. Many a times even we would have done it, right? This is all in this mode of tamas, tamaguna. We don't want to absolutely be here. We are absolutely not in tamaguna. We need to make people active. We need to be active. We need to be lively. That which in the beginning may be just the position, just like a position, but at the end is just like nectar, and which awakens into self-realization, is said to be the happiness in the mode of goodness. So initially when you look at, okay, it is like poison. It is very hard to take it, but at the end it is just like nectar. Getting how many of you have seen honey being taken out, or literally someone has taken out? Not many of us get these opportunities these days. It's been like old age, when the old times when people used to take out honey directly from the honeybee, right? They used to take it out from the beehive. Even today, when you see the bee farms, there are some bee farms. What do? They have a queen bee. There's a small queen bee inside. And that queen bee is what? Is controlling all the bees in that beehive. And somehow they find out who's that queen bee. Once they capture that queen bee and keep it away, all the honeybees from one beehive goes to another beehive, and this beehive gets empty. That's the biotechnology way of doing it. Okay, they're preparing honey. But what is the natural process? The honeybee is making a beehive probably in forest trees and places. And this honeybee goes to different places, different flowers, collects the nectar and stores it at the beehive. And what do we people do? We take a fire, take it close to the beehive, make sure that we send out all the honeybees and we take the honey. But what happens? Because of your efforts, okay, you took the pain when these people are taking out the taking the honey, there are some bees which are also going to bite them, right? They're also going to be, what do we call it? The beehive, we don't call it biting. Okay, I think you get the essence of it. So they take the pain of it, right? So they take the pain of it. But what is happening? Slowly they are able to awaken and they're able to taste the nectar of it. When there's honey is so tasty. So that gives you the result of it. Why? Because the beginning it might be like poison, but at the end it is just nectar which awakens one to self-realization. That's how the spiritual journey is. Initially, waking up early in the morning. Difficult? Yes. Japa, okay, Mahamantra Japa for 108 times. Difficult? Yes. How can I sit? I'm not able to sit for 2 minutes together. And you ask me to sit 10 minutes, closing my eyes and saying the same thing again and again. Same Mahamantra Japa again and again. Yes, it can be difficult, but slowly you'll start enjoying it. Right? That's in the mode of goodness. So from tomorrow, what do we do? Wake up at 8 o'clock in the morning. Okay. Brush your teeth or not is a different thing. Take a coffee and sleep. Is that right? No, right? We get into the Sattva Guna. We all get into Sattva Guna from tomorrow. We're already in it. We've had this journey. It has been a good journey, right? So we continue this. How many of you have registered for level 2 already? If you have not done, we'll do it together today, okay? So we'll do it together. Today's quiz is left out, okay? In the beginning, there may be very pleasing, it might be very pleasing to please the senses, but at the end or after some time, it becomes just like poison, right? What happens? Initially, all these fights and things we enjoy it. It is pleasing to the senses. But today, when people who fought early in their young age, you see them in the old age, right? They're all saying, there is no one to support me. There's no one in life for me. They're all gone into Tamaguna, right? From Sattva-guna you slip to Rajaguna. And if Rajaguna you slip, you go to Tamaguna. What happens? They're all separated today, right? Too much of anything, too much of love or too much of anger. Both are dangerous, right? When you have too much of love, what happens? They get too attached, and even a small mistake becomes a big problem for them. So what should we do? Stay in a stable state. That's why Sattva Guna. When you have a very good friend, okay, and you go to him for everything, one day he says, no, he's not. You call him for to come to some place, or go out with you to some place. He says, no, I'm not coming. And you're so attached, you're so desperate that he will come, and he doesn't come. What happens? He or she doesn't come. What happens? You get so angry, and you start shouting. Right? Sometimes this happens. This has happened to everybody, right? You don't take it in and say like, okay, you're not available, that's fine. You can always go on. So, but we don't do it. So what happens? We start quarreling, and the quarrel leads to separations very time. But if you are in Sattvagun, okay, you're not coming, that's fine. If you are available some other day, we can go together. Or if he's not interested. And we'll have to look at one more thing. We all people have to understand and say when it is no. Okay, we need to learn the skill of saying no. How many of you agree to that? We don't say no, right? I see yes. Yes. We don't say no. When someone says, let us go somewhere, we say, no, wait. Yes, we can always go. It is like it's extremely difficult. Yes, it is very difficult to say no. So what happens is, imagine there's someone calling to you to issue a credit card. What do you say? You're not interested. Why? Because you know that if you say anything, they're going to call you back and keep telling you, keep calling you. But when you go to a shopkeeper, when you go to a shopkeeper and he says, sir, do you want this? He's always trying to sell. It's his job to sell, right? He's continuously saying sell. He's continuously trying to sell you different things. And when you find something interesting, but you know that it is not useful for you, what do you say? Say, I'll probably buy it some other time. When you go to a showroom to see a motorcycle or a scooter, this is something everybody would have done. He says, sir, when will you book it? You actually went there only to see whether what is the cost of the motorcycle or the scooter, and if you can afford it, probably, and if you can afford it, how long do you want to? But what do? You say, I'll probably come in a week's time. I'll come back in 1 week's time. We do say that, right? What happens? We know we cannot come back in 3 months' time or 6 months' time. We came there only to check the value of that vehicle, whether we can afford it, how the vehicle looks. Sometimes we already have a beautiful vehicle. You have a Royal Enfield, but you see that Honda has launched some other vehicle, which is also attractive. You just wanted to do a test drive of that vehicle. How many of you do that? You just want to do a test drive of that vehicle. So you just go there and do it. What happens? The person tries to sell that, but you don't say, no, I don't want this vehicle. I just came here for a test drive. Why? Because once you tell him that you came there for a test drive, he's not going to respond to you the same way. So when we say no, we'll have to know what our limits are, and we'll have to clearly understand to say the word no. Then you have too many subjects, and you cannot read everything. The exams are just 5 days away. You cannot read the whole book. You know that. You need to tell your mind, no, I'm not going to read all the chapters. I'm going to read only the chapters which I know or which I can. Rest of it, yes, I'm not going to probably compete for 100 marks. I'm probably going to compete only for 70 marks, but out of 70, the passing is 50, so I'll score 60. Is that not the right way to do it? Rather study the whole thing, not understanding everything, and when you go sit in the exams, you are attempting for 100, but you are not confident even of 50. That is more difficult. You need to understand to say no. When you have 2-3 offers on your job or from your college, do you say no to any of the offers? You want more and more offers, right? But what happens when you don't say no to some offer? There is someone who he could have hired someone else. You're not actually disappointing the employer alone. What happens? You're also reducing the opportunity of one more candidate, right? Be very sure on it. I don't say that you have an offer of say one value, you have a 1.5, 2x, 5x value for that, and you have one more offer and you are interested in that. No problem. You can always go and attempt, take it. You have an offer of 1x, you get an offer of 5x, you can always go and take it. Nothing wrong. But at least tell the 1x guy that you're not coming. It's important, no? So the one next guy can actually go ahead and offer someone else in some other college when he's gone to a campus to some other college. So does that not make sense? We should say no somewhere. At some limit, we should always say no. Okay. Tamas, what these people do? And that happiness which is blind to self-realization, which is delusion from beginning to end, and which arises from deep sea, laziness and illusion is said to be the nature of ignorance. We have all seen this many times, so we'll not discuss on that further. By worship of Lord, who is the source of all beginnings, who is all pervading, a man can attain perfection through performing his own work. Just worship the Lord. How simple is it? Look at it, how simply explained. Worship the Lord, who is the source of all beings and who is all pervading. That we already know. Who created man? Nobody knows. Nobody knows what is the answer? It is God. Who is God? He is all pervading. He is present everywhere? Yes. How do you substantiate it? Prahlad Maharaj proved it. Right now. Who is the source? It's Lord. Where is he? He is all pervading. A man can attain perfection? Yes. How? Through performing his own work. You don't do anything extraordinary. Do your own work, but worship the Lord. Give the results and the success and failure to the Lord. Does anyone give you this option? They say like you give success and failure. You always want to give failures to someone. Someone always wants to take your success, right? There's nobody says success and failure, everything is mine. You only do. Imagine what happens if someone gives you $100 billion and say like, you start a business. You enjoy doing the business. You make more money, that is mine. You lose all the money, that is still mine. So you are only doing business. Is that not a good offer to do? So that's what God is telling you here. Just worship me. All the success and failures, you leave it to me. Just do your own work. It is better to engage in one's own occupation, even though one may perform it imperfectly, than to accept another occupation and perform it perfectly. Duties prescribed according to one's nature are never affected by sinful reactions. We always do this. We always look at someone else and say, the doctor's job is better. We are all engineers. Doctor's job is better. Because see, he can treat so many people. You always want to see, okay, I am here, my boss is not doing very good, so I can do that job better. I am a mechanical engineer. The electronics engineers are making more money. Today the trend is software engineers are really making more money. But if I get into software engineering, then I can actually do the job better. I can try to be perfect. I can perfect to that skills. But your skill set is not that, right? You already chose to become a mechanical engineer. So you can't go and perform something else which you've not learned. So you can always try to perfect that, but you're not doing it perfectly. Happens anywhere? When you get to your job, when you get campus interviews in your college, do you get the right openings? Engineers become chartered accountants. Okay. Chartered accountants are becoming MBAs and getting into strategic roles. You see all this happening, no? I don't say nobody is successful, okay? There are people successful in that also. Just because someone is successful, you cannot follow that. We see a lot of successful people, but we don't see a lot of people who have failed behind it, right? Why people have been successful? Because they have the passion to do it. You have the passion to do it, go do it. But if you're doing it because you see someone and you want to become like someone, you want to follow someone, There's no purpose. Right? Any questions on that? Don't follow people just for the sake of following. I don't say that it's not good to have mentors. It is always good to have mentors. It is always good to follow great people. But don't just do for the sake of following. Just because someone did his master's in engineering, don't go do your master's in engineering. Just because when someone did MBA, don't go do an MBA. If you find the rigor in yourself, you have an urge to do an MBA on yourself, go do it. Right? Duties performed according to one's nature are never affected by sinful reactions. When you do it with which is in your nature, it is not affected by sinful reactions. So this we already saw. One who thus transcendently situated, one who is thus transcendently situated, at once realizes the Supreme Brahman and becomes fully joyful. He never laments or desires to have anything. He is equally disposed towards every entity, towards every living entity. In that state, he attains pure devotion service to me. So Krishna says, one who is transcendently situated, one is situated in Sattva Guna, one he is in the stable state of mind, one who is spiritual, one who is chanting on the Lord. He realizes the Supreme Brahman. Okay. He realizes there is Lord and he's. But if one is able to perform something in best way, why shouldn't he do it? That's what I say. If you are able to perform in the best way, why do you perform it in the best way? Is it because someone is doing it, you go do it in the best way? No, right? Only if you have passion to do it, you do it in the best way. If someone has done engineering, but he has a passion to become a lawyer, they still go become very good lawyers, right? Because they have the passion to do it. And they do it in the best way. There's nothing wrong in doing it. Because you did engineering and your friend did the bachelor's in law, and he is a better law. He's a very good lawyer. Now from engineering, you cannot go do law, right? Because that is not your skill set. You are not meant for it. If you have the passion, that's a different thing. Because your friend did it, you should not go and do it. Or because someone did it, don't go and do it. I believe I answered your question. So one who is transcendently situated at once realizes the Supreme Brahman. So once you are in this stable state of mind, okay, when you have realized what you need to do, okay, once you become joyful about doing it, right? 3 hours of a movie, when the movie is interesting, you all don't know when the 3 hours went away, right? We never know when the time went away. Why? Because you are joyfully enjoying it. So what happens when you start chanting and you start enjoying the chant? You've seen people meditating for 4 hours, 5 hours together, right? You have elders in the family who keep doing the puja for 4 hours, 5 hours, 8 hours in a day, right? Why? Because they are slowly realizing the results of it. They enjoy doing it. So he never laments or desires to have anything. He is equally disposed towards every living entity. In that state, he attains pure devotional service to me. So what do? You do your work. Nothing. We don't say stop your work. We say always do your work. Do your work with passion. Okay? Don't do it in the mode of passion. Do it with passion. Don't attach to the results. And attach yourself to the spiritual journey by chanting the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. Is that not easy or it is very difficult what I'm saying? One can understand me as I am, as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, only by devotional service. Just do devotional services. Just try visiting temple, visiting the ISKCON temple if possible. That's more attached because There you have more people in Sattva Guna. Other temples you'll have a lot of people in a few people in Sattva Guna, but many of them are coming there for desires to satisfy their own, right? They're coming and asking something to Krishna. In ISKCON, there are more number of people. I won't say everybody. There are still people coming to ISKCON and say, Krishna, give me this. Krishna, give me that. Okay? But there are more people coming to Krishna and say, Krishna, you've given me enough. Now everything is yours. I just came here to do some devotional services. Right? That is the way you approach the Lord. One can understand me as I am. Yes, that is difficult. Chanting the mantra is easy, but renouncing the results of actions is quite difficult. How can you stop thinking of the results? Exactly, that is not easy. Okay, that's not easy. That comes by practice. So you can't give up results tomorrow in the morning. See, when I started the classes, okay, imagine that when we started the 18-day class, I saw on the WhatsApp there were 100, so I think there were around 190 or 200 people on the first day. Okay, people from the, so this was my first batch. Okay? You guys are my first batch. So from the temple, they called, said, Prabhuji, there are 200 people in the WhatsApp group. So that's going to be a lot of people. So you prepare yourself really nice. So Prabhuji, I have done my preparations. I believe this is my first class that I'll be taking. So let me give my best and let me try. And if something goes wrong, but still Krishna will help me recover that. He said, okay, Prabhuji, do your best. Okay. First day we joined the classes. How many people were there? 35 people. Today, how many people we are there? 9 people. And there were days in the classes when we had only 6 people. Now, do you expect that all 200 people come to the class? No. Do you expect everybody will come to, even all 9 people today you are there, you'll always come to the classes? No. Even if there is one person, I will go take the classes. Even if there is nobody, okay, I told Prabhuji, that's why, Prabhuji, don't worry about it. In the middle, when there were around 6 or 7 people on one day of the class, from ISKCON Mangaluru, people called and they said like, Prabhuji, there are very few people. Are you feeling disappointed? I told Prabhuji, don't worry about it. I am sure that people are, if they're not attending the classes, there are many people attending on YouTube at least. They are at least, if they miss the classes, I'm sure they're going to check it out on YouTube. So even if there is nobody, I'll record the class and share it on YouTube. So you don't look at the results. Okay. I agree. There are results on my career side, which I am always looking at some results. When I want some promotions, I want money to come in, all that happens. But if you start getting attached to it, what happens? You keep thinking about it all the time. But you say, okay, it will come. Krishna will take care of it. Just say this. Just say this. Krishna will take care of it. You will still attach to it, but you start slowly detaching yourself. Things will fall in line. Okay? That's the easier way to do it. I understand it's very difficult to renounce the results immediately. Put that to practice. Okay? You have a fight at home with your wife, with your girlfriend, with your sister, with your brother, with your mom, with your dad. So you want to fix it immediately? Yes, no? We always want to fix those things, relationships immediately. But what happens? We are expecting results out of it. You expect them to come and ask a pardon to you. Do it the other way. Don't expect them to ask for pardon. Don't expect results. Go do your effort. Things will get put in. Things will be in place very quickly. Okay. So start saying thank you to them. You will realize, why is this guy suddenly coming and saying thank you to me? Why is this guy is out of mind, I think. I think ISKCON Bhagavad Gita classes has put something in his mind. This guy is asking, this guy has never asked sorry to me, never said thank you to me. And this guy is coming and saying thank you to me, come on. Something has gone wrong. This guy is becoming sadhu. These are all things that will come up, okay? But try to don't give up the results. Don't expect relationships to be mended by the other side. Start mending from your side, and everything will fall in place. Okay. So, and when one is in full consciousness of me, by such devotion he can enter to the kingdom of God. So, what is all that we are trying? We all want to enter the kingdom of the Lord. Honeybee, I already told you the story of honeybee. What do you need to enter a circus? You need to buy a ticket. Any theme park you want to enter, what do you want? You need a ticket. And what is the ticket here? Why do you want to go to the theme park? To enjoy. Here, what is the enjoyment that we are saying? Be in the spiritual world. And what is the ticket to it? Where is your ticket? What is the ticket? The same way we need a ticket of bhakti to enter the abode of Lord Krishna. So what is the theme park that we are looking at? It is the Goloka. It is the Vaikunta. How many of you see a bird on the right side? See it, right? So that's the Vaikunta. It's the illusion of leaves, but there is a bird inside. Okay, we need to focus that way. Thus, if you become conscious of me, you will pass over all the obstacles of conditioned life by my grace. The Lord says. Who else do you want to come and tell you? Prime Minister says 500 rupees, 1000 rupees doesn't work, you agree. Lord says if you become conscious of me, you will pass over all the obstacles of conditioned life by my grace. You will have to agree this, right? There's no better authority to tell you this. See, he says, how the Lord explains is like when we walk or when a horse walks, there's a small imprint on the floor, on the soil, right? And if the water comes on that, can you jump over that water? Is it easy to jump over that place? Imagine there's a small, it's a rain and then there's a small place, small imprint of the horse walking. It's easy to pass it over, right? Is it easy to pass over the ocean? Can you jump over the ocean? Absolutely not, right? So the God says, if you become conscious of me, you will pass over all the obstacles of conditioned life by my grace. He will reduce the size of ocean to the size of a small imprint. And you can jump over it. You can pass over the obstacle. That's how Prabhupada clearly explains. When you are stuck in the ocean, this is where we are all today. We are all stuck in the problem of ocean. What all we need to do is take the spiritual path. And if we take the spiritual path, give away the attachments, the Lord is going to come and take us directly. He's going to give a ride on the Garuda Vahan itself. O Supreme Lord, the Supreme Lord is situated in everyone's heart, O Arjuna, and is directing the wandering of all living entities. If you are seated as on a machine made of material energy. Sorry, he said, who are seated on a machine made of material energy. He says, Lord is in everyone's heart. We already explained it many times. He is there in your heart as a small portion. In your soul, he is a very small thing. Small portion of your soul is the Lord himself and is directing wandering of all entities. He knows all that. That's the super high capacity memory card. Okay? The Lord is having that in that small part in your soul. And he is storing the memories of not one life. He is storing the memories of all your life. 84 lakh species he is storing the memory in that soul. Who are seated as on a machine made of material energy. It is like something on a material energy, machine on a material energy. Okay, so Lord is situated in everyone's heart. And Krishna is in our heart as Paramatma, and man as a machine. You can see this. We saw this image even before, right? Man is just a machine. But what gives life to that machine is the soul. And that's why Prabhupada has always explained, keep your soul active. Energize your soul by chanting. And everybody has a soul in them. Everybody has Lord Krishna in him. Okay. O son of Bharata, surrender to him utterly. By his grace you will attain transcendental peace and the supreme and the supreme and eternal adore. We told you the story of the Raja in Jagannath Puri, right? He just went and swept because he was a devotee. Just surrender to the Lord. Don't expect results out of it. By his grace you will attain transcendental peace and the supreme and eternal adore. Thus, now Krishna concludes, thus I have explained you knowledge, still more confidential, deliberate on this fully, and then do what you wish to do. Now Krishna gave you the clear liberty. I have given you all the knowledge, which is more confidential, even more confidential, still more confidential now. Deliberate on this fully, implement this fully, and then do what you wish to do. Why does he say, do what you wish to do? Because once you give the results to Krishna, positive success or failure, you give the results to Krishna. Krishna doesn't say give the success, leave the success to me. No, he never said leave the success to me. He said leave the results to me, whether it is success or failure. And then do what you wish to do. He will take care of it. Always think of me, become my devotee, worship me, and offer your homage unto me. Thus you will become me without fail. You will come to me without fail. I promise you, and this because you are very dear friend of mine. That's what Krishna says. You become a friend of Lord by devoting. Become a devotee to him. Offer homage to him. Offer prasad to him. And thus you will come to me without fail. And I promise you. Politicians promise every 5 years. Right? Mam evasi satyam te. So the Lord says, Lord clearly told, give you the promise now. Okay, he said satyam, right? So he has given the promise. He has promised. Politicians give us promise every 5 years. And if they don't fulfill, we don't still go and vote for them. Companies promise you promotion every year. They don't give, you continue to work for them. They promise hike every year. And they come back with some other point. Okay? Customers promise to buy products from you every time. But they don't, they defer it. Happens, this is all life. Many promises are not kept. But here, Lord has promised. And Lord doesn't get away on his promises. Followed, you'll realize it. Okay, we have lot of living examples of it. What are the 4 things Krishna says you to do? Chanting, offering, worshipping, and namaskar. Chant in the name of the Lord. Offer Krishna prasad. Worship the Lord. And do namaskars. Right? Yesterday someone had a question on namaskar. Who had the question on namaskar? I will explain you if you tell me who asked me that question. Okay. Abandon all varieties of religion and just surrender to me. I shall deliver you from all the sinful reactions. Do not fear. What did Draupadi do? She just surrendered to the Lord. She said, like, all her 5 husbands were sitting in the darbar. If they could do anything, nothing. And she just called up for Krishna. And Krishna came at once and delivered. Arjuna, in the middle, he wanted to go for a war. He is so confused in the war. He asked for Krishna. Krishna, tell me, what do I do? Krishna gave him the Bhagavad Gita. And Arjuna was successful in the war. Krishna could have always given Arjuna the shlokas of Bhagavad Gita or the learnings of Bhagavad Gita in a 4-walled room, right? He could have taken Arjuna, come on, let's go inside, I'll tell you what to do. Would have been easy, right? Why did he do it in front of the whole army? Arjuna was here now. When we started, we said, what did Arjuna say? Krishna, please take me to the middle of the battleground. And for 45 minutes, these people, 2 people are talking. And everybody is hearing. And what is everybody else thinking? Like, come on, boss, we all came for war. We are wasting time. You guys are talking. But Arjuna got the message of it. The Dhritarashtra was hearing through Sanjaya. Did he get the message of it? No. Duryodhana was hearing directly from Krishna. Did he get the message? No, because they were all devotees. They were not devotees here. There were people like Bhishma Pitama, Dronacharya, who actually got the message of Krishna. They got the Bhagavad Gita, but they were in the mode of passion. So they could not understand it. They knew what Krishna was saying, but they were not ready to accept that. They were all attached to material world. They were all attached to the promise that they had done to different people, or probably their egos. They did not like the Pandavas, right? Everybody has their own story, in Mahabharata. And everybody has a justification for it also. And say that is all right, but not right. You had to do the right thing and you had to follow the dharma. That was it. That was right. It is not your dharma that you follow. It is the dharma that you follow. Right? Everybody said, my dharma is bigger. Duryodhana said, my dharma is bigger. It is my kingdom. I don't give any part of my kingdom. But that is not the right way. That is not dharma. So that's why Krishna gave it in front of everybody. And what happened? Arjuna won it. So surrendered to Krishna, abandon all varieties of religion and just surrender to me. I shall deliver you from all sinful reactions. Do not fear. Same happened with Gajendra, right? For one who explains the supreme secret to the devotees, pure devotional service is guaranteed. And at the end, he will come back to me. So this is what encourages all of us, all teachers like us, to do more and more service. What is the best service that you can do? You guys can even donate. You can donate one Bhagavad Gita book to someone, family, friends, or anybody. Get at least one person from your family, friends, to register to the next batch also. Okay, just try to get one person more. Why? One who explains this supreme secret to devotees. Pure devotees, devotion service is guaranteed. And at the end, he will come back to me. So this is what Krishna says. When I am able to tell you, guys, there are 8 or 10 people now, right? This is what is the average class strength that we've seen. But when I am able to explain you, I am doing my part as a devotional service. And Krishna says, when you do something like that, I guarantee you that your devotional services is guaranteed, and at the end, he will come back. See, I am doing this probably because all my sins in my previous karma, I'm trying to give away by devotional service. And you go slowly, you bring someone and ask them to learn the Bhagavad Gita classes. Someone registers, someone goes through that. He is going to add more people. What happens that way? They are all going to cleanse your bad karmas. How do you become successful? By getting more and more people and attaching them towards the spiritual journey. Right? Easy? Is that not easy to attain spiritual journey? Prabhupada is so noble soul. Right? He has influenced so many people. And he's such a noble soul that he could just influence anybody. Drug addicts, hippies, prostitutes, everyone, a lot of people came. Prabhupada did not go to the Art of Living Center to some place and then said, okay, now on we'll do this. No. He went to different places. And people who came to him were all people who were rejected in life, who were depressed in life. We have a case study in ISKCON itself, wherein one girl who was addicted to sleeping pills. She cannot sleep without sleeping pills. She could not sleep. Doctor said she has to take sleeping pills every day. And what happened over a period of time, she was under medication for quite a long time. She was under depression, great depression of probably some difficult times in her life. And she had to take 2 sleeping pills normally. Initially it was 1, it went to 2, and it was slowly growing higher. She attended the Gita classes. She took up services somewhere, started chanting. And now she's completely out of those sleeping pills because she says she has got attached to the Lord. She is not looking at the results anymore. She started her work again. Okay, she wasn't working for 6 to 8 years because of this. Her family was so depressed. Now, because she got associated and she started chanting, she's slowly realizing her life and she's reviving her life. She's gone back to her work. She's now doing really, really well. These are all explained. There are lots and lots of living stories like that. There is no servant in this world more dear to me than he. Nor there will be one more dear. Who is not more dear to me? You'll have to again refer to the previous talk, okay? The one who explains the supreme secret to the devotees. Pure devotion service is guaranteed. One who's explaining the Bhagavad Gita to many people. So there is no servant in the world more dear to me than what the person who's doing this service. Nor there will be ever one more dear. So what did Prabhupada do? He translated in the Bhagavad Gita as it is. Okay, there's no views of Prabhupada here. He said all this, it is as Krishna has said it. There are purports below that where Prabhupada explains it with analogies and examples. But the translation is as it is. Okay, so he has done it in many languages. He did it in many Indian languages. It is now available in multiple languages across the world. And you can see the number of languages. No other book is published in so many languages like the Bhagavad Gita. And translation, 18.70, he says, and I declare that he who studies this sacred conversation of ours worship me by his intelligence, and who listens in faith and without envy becomes free from sinful reactions and attains to the auspicious planets where the pious dwell. So he will reach the higher planets where the devotees will be. So what you do is have faith, start your devotional service, listen to the devotional services, devotional chants, devotional stories, devotional publications of various ISKCON temple, and start following. Arjuna said. Now Arjuna is saying, oh my dear Krishna, oh infallible one, my illusion is now gone. I have gained my memory by your mercy. I am now firm and free from doubt, and I am prepared to act according to your instructions. Now he says, Thank you, God. You tell me what to do. What do we do when we have a lot of problem at home or office? Say like, okay, boss, you're giving me so many things. Now tell me what to do. I'll do just what you say. Happens, no? Your teacher keeps asking you, say, teacher, tell me what is the answer you want me to tell. I'll give you that answer. Please leave me. So here Arjuna is realizing that. Arjuna has just realized it. He is not giving it for the sake of telling. He has realized the truth. And he says, now I am firm and free from doubt, and I am prepared to act according to your instructions. Finally, after 45 minutes, Arjuna decides to fight. And what does he do? He fights with all rigor, as per Krishna's instructions. And they win the war. They have the smallest army, right? The army was not as big as Duryodhana, but they fought for the Lord. They did not have the results. They were not worried about the death. They were not worried about the results. They win the kingdom. They lose, they still go and serve the Lord. So their success was guaranteed. Why? Because Krishna was by their side. They were devotees of the Lord. So that's why they won. So all this that Krishna told Arjuna in 45 minutes, how many days we are taking? 18 days. Did we learn the whole thing? No. Did we get the whole thing? No. So what do? We'll have to learn further, register for the level 2 courses. Now, this is the last verse where the 700th verse of Bhagavad Gita. Now Sanjaya is telling Dhritarashtra, O king, as I repeatedly recall this wondrous and holy dialogue between Krishna and Arjuna, I take pleasure being thrilled at every moment. Okay, and he concludes, wherever there is Krishna, the master of all mystics, and wherever there is Arjuna, the supreme archer, there will also certainly be opulence, victory, extraordinary power, and morality. That is my opinion. So he clearly said, Dhritarashtra, better call off the war and give everything to Arjuna. Give the part of the kingdom to Pandavas. Otherwise, we are just going to lose the war. He could see it from the conversation. Right? So now, make it very simple. Okay, just apply this to Kali Yuga. Apply this to the Kurukshetra in your mind, in your body. Okay? He says, wherever there is Krishna. Where is Krishna? He is in your heart. Okay, wherever there is Arjuna, that is your mind. Okay. The supreme archer. The supreme archer is going to be all over. Okay. So wherever there is Krishna, wherever there is Arjuna, and there is also certainly opulence, victory, and extraordinary power. Why there is extraordinary opulence, certainly opulence, victory, and extraordinary power? Because Krishna, the heart, takes over the mind and controls the mind. When that happens, there is extraordinary power, there is extraordinary opulence, there is extraordinary victory, and extraordinary morality. Is that not simple? You want to be rich, you want to have the big, high powerful positions, you want to be commanding, nothing wrong, but have your heart take over your mind. You can't listen to your mind. So that's what Krishna clearly says. Arjuna, you are the mind. Krishna is the heart. If Krishna controls Arjuna, Arjuna is successful. If Arjuna says, no, I'll do as per my will, and Krishna says no, Arjuna will also become as good as Duryodhana, right? Duryodhana listened only to his mind. But Arjuna accepted that his mind needs to be controlled by his heart, which is Krishna. Yatra Yogeshwaro Krishna. Okay. If Krishna is on your side, you will win in life. Krishna is going to help you in come what may. Human life is full of battles. Never shrink in fear, fight to the last. Stand on your ground. Even if you are wrong, get back. If you say sorry. If you're right, stay there, fight for it. Heart will take over by Harinam Sankirtan. Yes, Harinam Sankirtan will take you in the right direction. That will give you the right messages. When you're doing the Harinam Sankirtan, when you're doing the japa, what happens? The right messages pop up to you. Do it early in the morning, the right messages will pop up to you. Some confusion you have over the day, chant chant one round and listen to what your heart says. And your mind will be cleansed. Okay. Take away messages of Bhagavad Gita. We are not body, we are spirit souls. Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Devotional service is the best process to attain perfection. Right? Okay, so this is the schedule that we have in the temple. There's a YouTube link this is the temple link in Zoom. You can always join us anytime that you want. Every day, 4:30 to 5 a.m. there is Mangala Arati. 5:30 to 6 a.m. there is a japa verse. 5:30 to 6 a.m. there is always a japa. Okay, one round. They do 4 to 8 rounds of japa, and japa continues till 7 a.m. to complete 16 rounds. Okay, there are a lot of people who will do 16 rounds. So from 5:30 to 7 a.m. they can do 16 rounds. It's 1.5 hours. 8 a.m. to 9 a.m. there is Bhagavatam classes which happen. Bhagavatam is all the stories that we told you. They're all the longer version of it. There are hundreds of stories, like not hundreds, thousands of stories. 3:15 to 4:15. 3 to 4:15, there's reading and understanding of Gaura Leela, which is also happening. You can always join on this temple link. We will post it in the YouTube group. Now someone asked me the question. I'll come to that. Someone asked me the question, why do women do Panchanga Namaskar and men do Shashtanga Namaskar? Okay, when we do Shashtanga Namaskar, 6 body parts are going to touch the ground. Okay, toes, knees, hand, chin, nose, and the temple. Okay, on the chest is also supposed to touch the ground. But in case of women, there is 5 body parts. Okay, the knees, chest, chin, and this one have to be together. Okay, I think I put it the other way. Okay. So it is the women, the chest is not supposed to touch the ground. Why? Because it is a place where the fetal starts growing. The womb is connected to the chest. Okay, and womb is where the next life is going to come in. The next soul is going to come in. And it is very important that when there is a womb in the body, okay, there is a place where the womb is going to be generated. And since that is connected to the chest of the women, okay, they don't make it touch on the ground. The Lord doesn't touch the ground, okay? So that's the reason why women do a Panchanga Namaskar as per Shastra. And when the genitals of women touch the floor, they can always disturb some womb which is being created, which would get life at a later stage. The fetal which can have life at a later stage. Considering that scientifically, women are not recommended to do Shashtanga Namaskar. They are always do Panchanga Namaskar. Hope I answered that question right. We all chant Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.